we're going to be looking at chapter 10 of my book, School Isn't For Everyone, and what you can do instead. And chapter 10 is specifically about how not to be a teacher. Except I have news. Today I was sent the final copy. It's not a copy, it's a PDF of my book to read through. So I've got 10 days to read it through, and at this point they only accept minimal, small changes. So I have 10 days to read it through and sign it off and say, yay, that's it. It comes with a short page of queries. I think there's about 4 queries in the whole book that they specifically want me to go and look at and send them a response to. But the 2 things have occurred. Firstly, it turns out that chapter 10 isn't called How Not to Be a Teacher. I think it might actually in fact be about chapter 6. There was some moving around of the chapters at one point. And so some that hasn't translated into my head, I guess. Or anyway, it's still there. The chapter is still there, but it's not chapter 10. Just for the record. And some of the other chapters, obviously, that means they've been shifted. So these lives don't accurately reflect the chapter that I've written in the book. The second thing that I noticed is that the first sentence doesn't make sense, like the opening sentence of chapter 1, because it got edited and changed in the last edit. And now when you read it in the context of the first chapter, or even the first paragraph, it doesn't make sense. And that is no way to open a book, like your first sentence and your first paragraph being incoherent. So whilst I'm trying to juggle the idea that they only accept minimal changes, I'll email them and confirm that actually that is something that we can do, because quite frankly, if I was reading a book and I read that opening sentence followed by that paragraph, I'd be like, this person is completely incoherent. Why would I read the rest of the book? So that's been my joy today, discovering those 2 things. But we're going to talk about how not to be a teacher. That's kind of the focus of this evening. It's a chapter which really focuses on what we are doing as the parent, because first and foremost we are parents to our children. That is the relationship we are in with them, and to put ourselves into a traditional teacher role changes the dynamic of that relationship, and particularly in relationship to unschooling. It's completely unnecessary, not warranted, and is something that we try and stop doing fairly early on. I say try and stop doing because there are many layers to how not to be a teacher. Just stopping having a lesson and setting out what they're going to learn and presenting them with an activity or a task is one way, but then there's other ways that we might catch ourselves as you move towards unschooling, like these learning teachable moments. We call them teachable moments. A really clear one is when children ask what the time is, and our response isn't just to answer their question. Okay, and this chapter is really talking about all you have to really do is answer their question. What's the time? The time is 8:05. But because we're on this, we must be educating them kind of mode, we go, ooh, I can teach them how to tell the time. I can show them how to read a clock. And we go about trying to explain, sometimes very well, how an analog clock works, or how a digital clock works, and what 24 hours might look like, and why we say 1/4 and 1/2 or 1/4. And quite frequently our children are, well, they respond in different ways. Sometimes they might just glaze over, some children might be into it, and some children might actively roll their eyes or walk away. And this is really challenging those teachable moments, right? You know, really challenging those things when we think, yes, this we're on, they've asked a question, and now we're gonna like turn it into an entire project. And really questioning whether that's necessary. It's not necessary. Some of you might have children that love that, given, you know, what the topic might be or the question. It might be something that they are happy to do, and you can roll with for a while, until they're no longer happy to do it. But for the most part, when children ask a question or want to share something that they've done, that really is what they are doing. They are asking you that one question, or they're showing you that one picture. It doesn't need to be turned into this teachable moment or this epic project. But it also leaves us with the question, like, what are we doing? If we're not setting up lessons, and if we're not searching out tutors, and if we're not making projects of the things that they enjoy doing, like turning those passions into projects and explicit learning material, what are we doing? And certainly there is this creating this space for our children to explore the things that interest them, explore the world on their own terms, creating space for their independence and doing their own things. And our role is not explicitly to turn those things into projects, but to make sure our children have the resources that they need to be able to do those things. So for example, I do talk about Lego a lot, but if your child likes Lego, like making sure they have access to Lego, and maybe bringing in different Lego pieces or different Lego experiences, and not turning it into a project that they have to do, and not presenting it in a schooled way, like in a book and in a folder and with the worksheets that record what they've done, or even making a scrapbook, but just giving them access, making sure they've got access in the home so that they can do Lego, they've got a space that they can play with Lego. They might have a designated table, they might just have a designated box that they can access easily, a space where they're always welcome to get the Lego out, and bringing in different Lego experiences, but always allowing them to say no if that's not what they want to be doing. Alongside this is our children having this dedicated and supportive adult, that's you, to help them do those things. So if they're playing Lego, you playing Lego with them, helping them get the bits together, helping them take the bits apart, helping them find the bits and the pieces that they want. Some children like their Lego organised and sorted so that it is easy to find the pieces that they want. I've got top tips about how to do that if you want to ask me specifically about that. The easiest way to organise and store your Lego. Other children want Lego sets, or at least instructions for Lego sets so that they can follow them. Some children want to make their own things. So this is really about tuning into your child and being that dedicated and supportive adult alongside them so that they can do the things that they want to do, which means tuning in to what is it that your child is doing. Because my child likes doing with Lego. In fact, what one of my children likes doing with Lego is going to be different to another one of my children. And that's the same whether you're baking cakes and you've got a child that likes following instructions, or watching the British Bake Off, or they have a particular recipe book that they're working through, and then children that just want to experiment with ingredients in the kitchen until they create something edible. So whatever support that your child needs, that is now your role. In fact, we use the word facilitating, and facilitating just means to make things easier for your child, to make sure they've got access to resources, they've got access to you, they've got access to materials and opportunities, and that is now your role. You're not a teacher, and no one is asking you to be a teacher. And you know, remembering that your primary relationship is to be your child's loving and supporting parent, which is great because that fits really nicely with the ethos of unschooling. The idea that it's a relationship-based model. Your relationship with your child is the primary, possibly only thing that really matters, and everything else is born out of that relationship. So this chapter touches on relationship, but it really discusses kind of key ideas about how to be a facilitator, provides kind of like this concrete plan, like what is it that I am doing, and hopefully equips parents to be confident in their role. That's the idea, being confident in your role as you provide an education for your child. In my experience, it means a lot of admin, a lot of resource sharing with local community, being creative, because our children don't want to learn things at the same time as their school peers. So I always use the Great Fire of London as an example. You know, across the country, children of the same age, usually in kind of years 2 and 3, are learning about the Great Fire of London. And so out in the world there is a mass of resources that are aimed at children in those year groups. So what would that be? Age 7, 8. There's a mass of resources out there aimed at children who are age 7 and 8 on that topic. And so if your child happens to be interested in that, and you went looking and did your research and were trying to find things, you would find museum exhibitions, and you would find books, and you would find maybe some kind of live experiences, or people that come and do workshops on that topic for that age child. It's uncommon for that to happen. And what we end up with is kind of our children being interested in Lego, or Pokemon Go, or hobby horsing, and a great array of other things. But the resources that are kind of age specific, you really have to go looking for them. And also not confining our children to having resources that are only aimed at their age group. So taking them to museum exhibitions that aren't primarily aimed at 5-year-olds, but they are able to access, you know, on their own level. Getting in touch with people who are like experts in their field, and you know, asking if they would like to come and, you know, meet a group of children who are enthusiastic about this subject, and really thinking outside of the box about what's available. In our local homemade, we've got like a box of rocks that do the round. That sounds very uneducational. Geological rocks that lots of children that have been interested in Minecraft have had in their homes, and we pass them around the local homemade community. And as they've gone, they've kind of accrued kind of books and lists of like YouTube sites and videos that have got information that other children have accessed and really enjoyed looking into. So they've done the rounds. Hobby horsing, you know, we've found someone locally who will has got like the kit to set up a hobby horse arena so the kids can actually jump over. There's actually oh my gosh, what are they called? Jumps that are custom made for the job. They do also spend a lot of time jumping over cardboard boxes and bamboo canes that are made specifically for the garden and the allotment. And tyres, they build up tyres and make jumps out of those. So they're very busy getting creative with their own things as well. But you're not necessarily going to find things advertised for your child's particular interest, whatever that might be, because the things that are commonly marketed at those things are things that they know are going to sell to schools who are doing specific topics at specific times. So being the facilitator can really require thinking outside of the box, definitely linking with your local homemade community, seeing what else is out there locally, seeing what people have done before, because you're probably not the first one who's got a child that's got a unique interest in that niche area. There'll be someone else. There'll be someone else out there who will have done that and be able to share either their resources or at least their knowledge with you. So this is really this idea of facilitating, and it's really antithetical to the idea of schooling, where everything needs to be a challenge, and we need to, you know, if a child says they need help with cutting something out, then what we need to do is in that moment teach them how to do it themselves, that move towards independence, show them how to do it themselves, instead of saying, actually, this is what my child needs, so this is what I'm going to do. And it doesn't, it equally doesn't preclude us from saying, would you like me to show you how to do it? Or saying, you know, like, how can I help you? Would you like me to do it for you? Do you want me to show you how to do it? But shall I do it a couple of times and then you have another go? It doesn't preclude those things, but primarily it tunes into what the child wants and what the child needs. The focus isn't, I need to make them do it for themselves. I need to teach them how to do this, you know, how to cut in a straight line. You know, we need to master this skill at this given moment. It always focuses on what your child needs. So it can be, I guess, in that sense, kind of like walking a tightrope. It can, you know, even after all this time, you know, I've got 4 children and I still get it wrong, particularly with my youngest, because I'm drawing in on all this experience with my older ones going, oh yeah, I remember, no, she just wants me to do it for her. And actually, most of the time, in fact, I'm even saying this out loud, I should know, most of the time she doesn't really want me to do it for her. She wants me to show her how to do it so she can do it herself. And even saying that out loud, I know that's true, and quite often I do just jump in and go, oh, okay, I need to do this for her, because previously, my other children, that's what they've needed. So it does require some grace for yourself, because you are likely to not get things right all the time, and that's okay. It's completely okay, because we're relationship focused. So relationship with our children and relationship with ourselves. It's okay to get things wrong or not quite right, and try again next time and apologise, and that be part of the process of human relationships, and being okay with that. I'd love to tell you a story from this week, but I'm kind of got a bit of a blank, I guess. One of the things I do regularly is host a art group, and it's a process-based art group, which I make very clear when the advertising. When we invite families along, we set up different tables, different art experiences. Sometimes the kids have got ideas about what they want to do, other times they've got ideas of a theme. So this week they were like, let's do Halloween, but they didn't really have any ideas about what they wanted to do. So we came up with the ideas, the adults came up with the ideas and put stuff out. And then it turned out that the part of the group that were coming are long-term friends, and they do like hobby horsing, and they decided actually there's a really nice outdoor area attached to the hall that we hire for that art, and why don't they bring their hobby horses along? And they all had this plan that they were going to do their art first, and their Halloween art first, and then that could be left if there was paintings like to dry, and the glue could dry and all that kind of stuff, and then they were going to go and do their hobby horsing. And they got completely engrossed in hobby horsing as soon as they arrived, and most of them went and did that and didn't do any art at all, and that's okay, that's what they did. But we went through this, but it's this process of even sometimes the flexibility. I guess that's one of the things about not being a teacher and facilitating, having flexibility and being okay with kind of the change of plans, even though you've put time and effort maybe into things. Those things will still be there. We'll go, everyone's taken home like a little bit of the art stuff. They've all taken home we've got a group, so we've put like video tutorials on the group of some of the things, and other things they've just taken home, like a photograph of the instructions, or a photograph of like a final product idea. And they've taken these things home, and they'll do them then. I mean, they've all got like kind of play dates and sleepovers organised in various configurations, pairs and whatnot, and they'll do it there. So it'll at some point probably those things will be done. It's not guaranteed, but that idea about being flexible, I think, is really how not to be a teacher. Teachers aren't flexible. There's like one thing you're doing and that's it, come what may. So it can be really very different from being a teacher, very different from having a set idea about what you want your child to do and when, very different from trying to impart that little bit of extra knowledge when they ask you a question, but also doesn't exclude those things when we live in relationship with our children and are responsive to them and what they need. Tomorrow we are definitely looking at chapter 11. Who knows what it is in the actual book? Who even knows? This one is called The One Thing That You Need, and it's a whole chapter about the one thing you need, and it's not money. It's not and people don't like it when I say that. You don't need lots of money to be able to unschool. You do need like a basic amount to be able to afford to live, maybe, but not the cost of what appears to be a lot of the extras. They're not the be all and end all of unschooling. So you don't need lots of money. You don't need massive amounts of space. You certainly don't need a clean house. You don't have to have a car, but there is one thing that parents need to be able to unschool and unschool well, and this is what this chapter is all about, and I am going to talk about that tomorrow. No, am I? What day is it? Friday. I'm going to talk about that Friday at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow I'm hosting the Unschooling Village Hub, and we have a coaching session where we are thinking about our deschooling journeys and where we're at and what our most pressing worry, fear, thought is at the moment. And then because it's a small group, we talk into specifically what people's responses are there. So it's always a joy and a surprise what we talk about. If you are interested in talking about deschooling more and where you're at and what schooly thoughts you might be able to challenge and how to go about that, I'm running a 5-day deschooling event next week, which you can sign up for. I think I put the link on the post because it's held in a private Facebook group, this one, because I like to be able to respond to people's thoughts and ideas and what they're going through, which doesn't work well on a public thing. We're not gonna do that publicly, but we will do it on a private Facebook group. So you can sign up and you'll get the link to the Facebook group. And if you're not able to make the lives, the link means that I can email you the recordings as well. So it'd be lovely to see you there if you want to explore your deschooling journey a little bit more next week. If not, I've got 2 more lives. One is Friday, chapter 11. One is Saturday, chapter 12. Chapter 12 is called Unleashing a Life of Learning, and it definitely is the last chapter. It sets you off into the unschooling world at the end of the book with a big hurrah and a beautiful interview with the lovely Sarah Beale, who has no holds barred in her message for families who want to unschool, and hopefully the message from me is clear too. Have a nice evening.
Are you curious about unschooling and want to know more? Perhaps you're on the edge of starting this adventure, or maybe you've been doing this a while but you're looking for inspiration. After more than 13 years of unschooling 4 children and over 5 years supporting others on the same path, I have a vast library of resources that I'm happy to share with you for free, whatever stage of your journey you're in. You can check out the link in the description of the podcast, or you can head over to my website at liveplaylearn.org and look for the free resources tab. And there you will find lots of things to inspire you to keep living, learning and playing together. I said that the wrong way round, didn't I? Anyway, it's also a great way to make sure that you don't miss an episode of the podcast, which we will get back to now.